Chaplain.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for giving us this opportunity, for letting us come out today, and giving us this beautiful weather and bringing us all together to remember those who have fallen. We want to thank you for bringing our commander out here and all the sound and everything like that. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. This year will be the first year that we've had the Gold Star family wreath. And the chaps is going to receive. He's going to bring it forward now. This one will be done now, and then the rest of them will be done later on after the rest of the guys are done, the rest of the speakers. Thank you. The Gold Star family, I know, means to a lot to a lot of people. It means a lot to me because my wife lost her husband on active duty 31, 32 years ago, and so we've done some things to make that happen and got it, and she has her tag and all that kind of stuff. So we just wanted to make sure everything was legit before we jumped in and done something. Just a brief introduction of myself before I bring introduce the new commanding officer of Naval Air Station. I'm Buster. I am the nephew of the founder of Wreaths Across America. They're up in Arlington right now, a lot colder than us, and they're doing a cover. They're covering the whole cemetery up there, so it takes a lot to get it done. I think I heard somebody say this morning that today there's 2 million wreaths being laid worldwide, and that's an accomplishment. I tell you, it takes a lot. Right now, currently, we're doing almost 5,000 cemeteries. Where at Barrancas is a little different, where one of, I believe it's three, that has a ceremony. A lot of the other cemeteries are smaller, and or out in the country or whatever, and they just don't have the participation that we have here. And I thank every one of you for that. Today's ceremony gonna be a little tough for a second. It's in honor of my grandson that we lost in September. First time out here, it was 16 years ago, and he was like 6 months old. He's been here every year since, except for this year, of course, but he is here, guarantee you. That's all I got for now. Introduce Captain Chandra Newman. Mama son?
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This is such a beautiful event and such a somber one, too, at the same time. Thank you, Mr. Hartford, for organizing this event, and for Mr. LaChance and the Barrancas National Cemetery team. This is a beautiful grounds, and whether you're on the new side or the old side that dates back to the 1820s, it always looks beautiful, and it's always a beautiful place to come visit and think, and to remember, and to honor our veterans. It is a privilege to stand before you today, and the outpouring of generosity and the nature of Pensacola to our military and veterans is unprecedented. The extreme ownership of this city is something that I'm incredibly appreciative of, and this relationship endures. As you mentioned, all across this nation, and honestly all across the world, from our national cemeteries in France to where I was able to participate in Guam, and everywhere in between, Pearl Harbor and national cemeteries, and mentioned Arlington is a big one. We have civic and youth groups, educators, and school students that have done exactly what everybody here today has done and placed wreaths on the graves of our veterans and our service members and our spouses that supported them throughout their careers. This is important. Making sure that our next generation of our service members pay the respects and honor those that have gone before them is imperative to our country, to the history, and to the memories that we endure. Our shared military past is part of each and every one of these brave men and women buried here, and I am absolutely humbled to take part of the ceremony. It is my pleasure to be able to introduce a tremendous Pensacola area leader, and Dr. Ben Finley. His experience in education, military service, and community advocacy is unquestionable. Recently nominated as the president for our veterans and our Hall of Fame for Florida, as we were discussing. He has served on the boards of Florida's Veterans Foundation, the Memorial Park Foundation, and is actively involved in our community programs to enhance the lives of our military and our family members and our government civilians across this beautiful state. Dr. Finley is a tireless advocate for our veterans, and he is absolutely dedicated to the education and to the individuals that it affects across this state and our community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Dr. Ben Finley.
Thank you so much for the honor and the privilege to be here at our Barrancas National Cemetery and honor our heroes, those who have given so much and sacrificed so much for our great country. It's truly my privilege to honor these heroes. It's been 55 years since I volunteered for my 30 years of military service and got commissioned and took the oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I know many of you know that oath quite well. This oath of allegiance is more than a formality, more than part of a commissioning ceremony or a promotion ceremony. It provides the foundation of our military and our nation as a whole, our freedom. Sadly, some of my friends in arms sacrificed their lives for our great country and this oath. And our freedom, like so many here, did as well. I'm so thankful to have the freedom and the great privilege to be here today to honor them. If I could put today's ceremony and wreath laying into only 3 words, those 3 key words would be remember, honor, and teach. Today, not only here in Pensacola, but as others have said, all across our United States of America, we show national unity as we remember the following and honor those who served and teach our children and others the value of freedom and the deep meaning of the oath of allegiance to our country. This is also the mission of Wreaths Across America, and we're so thankful for Buster and the Wreaths Across America and his family. To 1, remember the fallen. Number 2, honor those who serve. And number 3, teach the next generation the value of freedom. Like some of you, I have been to Newark, Ohio. I've been to Galveston, Texas. I've been to Prescott Valley, Arizona. I've been to Fort Pierce, Florida, and here in Pensacola. All of these cities have about 50,000 net civilian population. Can you imagine if each of these cities and their citizens were gone? What a terrible tragedy. Well, here are some facts for you. There are about 50,000 interments of heroes on the 95 acres right here at Barrancas. This matches each of these cities' populations I just mentioned. So what a real terrible tragedy. That an entire city is gone but our 50,000 heroes here are gone. Our cemetery here was officially established in 1868, but the first burial here was Sam Clarkson in 1829. Also buried here are 4 Medal of Honor recipients, one each from the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines. And there are 700 Union and Confederate soldiers here. The wife of Apache Chief Geronimo from 1887, and several casualties from the Second Seminole War of 1835, plus so many, many more brave men and women of many wars and conflicts. Here at Barrancas for this National Wreaths Across America Day, like someone said, we joined more than 2 million volunteers and supporters who will gather today to remember, honor, and teach at about 5,000 participating locations, cemeteries, memorials in all 50 states, at sea and abroad. And this program has been granted permission to place wreaths at Normandy in France to honor those who died during World War II's D-Day invasion. Every year since 2008, Congress proclaims a Saturday in December as National Wreaths Across America Day. And as Buster said, right now there's an event going on today to honor those laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia, and it's 640 acres, where more than 260,000 wreaths will be laid just at this one location. That represents the residents of more than all 5 of these cities I mentioned. We place remembrance wreaths on the graves of our country's fallen heroes in memory of those who served in the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, Space Force, Merchant Marines, Coast Guard, all the reserve forces, and servicemen and women whose last known status was as a prisoner of war or missing in action. Thank you for attending and participating in this honorable, respectful, and patriotic event. Quoting our 40th President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, who said, quote, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same, or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States when men were free," end quote. My fellow Americans, please join me in a moment of silence to remember the fallen, the prisoners of war, the missing in action, and to honor those who served and are serving our great armed services. Pause with me. Think about the message a wreath provides. The traditional and simple message for a wreath, like in a memorial ceremony, is, "May your heart and soul find peace and comfort. May you rest in peace and in our loving memory, and gone from our sight, but never from our hearts." These precious freedoms we enjoy today have not come without a price. Freedom is not free. Let me say that again. Freedom is not free. Lying here before us in cemeteries throughout our nation are men and women who gave their lives so that we can enjoy our liberty, live in freedom and without fear. We thank you for your service. Such simple words, but honorable and very meaningful. Many of you here are veterans of wars, and I enjoyed talking with some of you about your experiences and duty stations. And you had to fight to protect the innocent and oppressed. America has always been the first nation to stand up for the freedom of people around the world. Many of you here today have answered that call and served your country well. You have volunteered. We're a volunteer service. You have volunteered to represent all of us and left loved ones for various periods of time for a greater good, our nation and its freedoms. We are here to say thank you, and we're honored to know you. Such simple words, but they carry a grateful message and a deep meaning of honor and respect. When you see or meet a veteran on the streets or wherever you're at, or an active duty member of the armed services, take a moment to say thank you. I know myself as a 30-year retired military veteran that it means a lot to me. And the simple gesture of wearing an American flag pin proudly communicates so much to veterans, the respect and honor to those who have served. Our heroes that rest here served under that flag with pride and honor, and they didn't sit down for that flag either. When I get a thanks, I always respond with, "You are worth it." Remember that wreaths and flag pins are tangible symbols of gratitude, honor, and respect, and a visible public reminder of freedom and liberty for all Americans. They recognize all military lives lost in the defense of our national freedoms and all those who now serve our country. They are real Americans with families, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, rather than just statistics. These heroes are voluntarily standing in your shoes to represent you. So let this ceremony remind us the true cost of freedom and how forever fragile it is, and inspire us to live in a way that honors the memory of these heroes and maintains our constant vigilance and a commitment to preserve it. I have been a member of the Sons of the American Revolution for 58 years, and at every meeting we say the Americans' creed. And here it is. It is our duty to those heroes and to our country to love it, to support our Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect our flag, and to defend it against all enemies. So let us never allow the memory of their service to fade and our commitments to waver. To all those who attend today, volunteer their time, efforts, and money to Wreaths Across America, its mission, and all the veterans' causes to help preserve the freedoms of our nation. We and our grateful nation thank you and salute you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Captain. To get these wreaths from up there in Maine, this year we had 7 tractor trailers. Not all full, but we had 7 tractor trailers. I would be amiss if I didn't thank the drivers for what they do. Sitting out here today, we have Mr. Bill and Laurie McGuire. Bill, if you'd stand up for a moment. Bill drove his load of wreaths from Columbia Falls, Maine at Wreaths Across America to Pensacola, Florida. And like every year, he stays for the ceremony. And they're just great people. And every driver we've had has been super. Some we'd like to have back and unable to, but we've seen them come back here and there. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Lori. Over the past several months, leading up to today, I've thought over the past 17 years. A lot of things have changed. A lot of firsts. This lady sitting behind me, enlisted, now the commanding officer of Naval Air Station. That is incredible. So proud. When I say some of the changes with Wreaths across America in general, it's all started from a photograph taken back in 1993 of Arlington National Cemetery, covered in snow and a little bit of red bow sticking out and a little bit of green. And it went viral. In 2006, the family went to the local post office and they had carts and wagons full of mail. In that mail was hundreds of thousands of donations in dollars. They returned every one of them with an apology. They couldn't accept it. The next year, they formed Wreaths Across America. That was how it was born. Then they started the 501c, which allowed them to take and accept donations. Since that, it's grown. 2007, we had 7 Christmas wreaths, ceremonial wreaths, here in Pensacola. Today, there was 27,300, I believe it was 84, give or take a couple. Where our goal is to cover this. Absolutely want to cover this cemetery. I think we can. We have the people here in Pensacola and the Panhandle to make it happen. Starting today, I'm skipping along some of this stuff. I'm just redundant, but today starting. We got what's called the BOGO, and it's buy one get one free. Sponsor a wreath through your favorite group, whether it be Kiwanis or whether it be for Cover Barrancas or one of the other 47 groups that sponsor wreaths for here in Pensacola. And for that one, you get 2. That's going to help us do what we need to do. Cover this cemetery. I say the last year, Kiwanis, the Big Lagoon, was the #1 sponsoring group in the United States. That says a lot. That is unbelievable. That comes down from headquarters. Congratulations. I know I've said it a few times, but it's great. And I think you're well on the way this year to be getting the same recognition. Here at NAS, I do want to thank Captain Newman, the XO, the Command Master Chief, Craig LaChance, his staff, the security folks, the base PAO, MWR, and the big voice in the sky, and everyone else who has volunteered. That's each and every one of you. We couldn't do this without you. And I'd like to have just give a special thank you to my family for putting up with me. It's not easy. And last night was an example. I locked my wife out of the house and she was standing right next to me. But anyway, yeah, I heard about it. So what I'd like to do now is prepare you for the 21-gun salute. Now we'll place a wreath in honor of the United States Army. Now a wreath for the United States Navy. Now a wreath for the United States Marine Corps. Now a wreath for the United States Air Force. Now a wreath for the United States Space Force. A wreath to be placed for the United States Merchant Marines. Now a wreath for the prisoners of war missing in action. I replace a wreath for the members of our civil service to include law enforcement, firemen, school teachers. Children spend more time with them than they do us sometimes. Now a wreath being presented. Lost my place, sorry. United States Coast Guard. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the ceremony for today. Thank you very much. I took a yes.